My name is Maclellan and I live in Hoigiri in North Uist. I work for Cornell and Shear as the Biodiversity Officer, and I cover the whole of the Western Isles, so Luce, Harris right down to Barra. I work part-time, 3 days a week, and the main part of my work is developing what we call local biodiversity action plans for different habitats and species that are important to the Western Isles. I work a lot with organisations such as SNH and RSPB, and trying to develop actions that will benefit the various habitats and species. For example, the corn bunting, the corncrake, the great yellow mumblebee species that are really important, and the Western Isles are one of the few places that these species are now found, or a stronghold for them. Another element of my work is dealing with designated sites. For example, we have a local nature reserve in Loch Sheapabat in Ness and Lewis, and I work there to support a group that are managing the nature reserve. And a small part of my work, which I really enjoy, is working with schools and on environmental issues. Many of the schools are now involved in an initiative called Eco Schools, where they cover a variety of topics from climate change to biodiversity to waste and recycling. And I think it's a very good initiative because they do have to cover a wide range of topics, and I get involved with the biodiversity element of that and go into the schools and maybe tell them a bit about the environment around their school, things that they might see, the different habitats and species where they find on the Machar or on the crofts and on the hill ground, which is good. And a lot of them have, a lot of knowledge and tales to tell of things that they've experienced or seen while they've been out and about. I went with Ballavanik School last year. They were doing a project on Benbecula, and I went in and met with them and took in various pictures of species that they might see when they're out in the Machar. For example, the otter or corn buntings, eagles, things like that. So, and then the second part of the project was to go out, and we went for a walk through Aird Township, which is close to the school, and we were very fortunate to come across a crofter in the township who was busy making stooks in his yard, which was the children had such a huge interest in, and were able to help and to watch and observe what was going on. It's something that they don't see very often, and so much now the crops that are grown on the Machars are made into black bag silage because it's easier to do and it's not as weather dependent. And these traditional practices like stooking they don't happen as often, and it's very time consuming as well. So they were able to see that and take some of the sheaves going back to the school and for their display that they were doing in the school. And so that's part of the work that I really enjoy. I mean, it's very worthwhile being able to take the children out and for them to experience what's going on out with the school grounds. I also get involved in projects that are going on, sort of environmentally related projects. For example, the mink project, which is currently running in Lewis and Harris, trying to eradicate mink because of the damage they've done to ground nesting birds on the islands. Also the Wader project, the Uist Wader project, which is operating in Uist, and they're looking to catch and remove hedgehogs from the islands again because of their impact on the various ground nesting birds. So there's quite a variety involved in my work, which makes it interesting, and there's so many different things to get involved in, and it just makes it worthwhile and good. There's a scheme now funded by the RSPB to encourage crofters to actually stook their corn. Stooking it's a practice that's sort of died out a lot because of the difficulties with weather and one thing or another, geese causing damage to crops. Many people have gone to black bag silage, but unfortunately this had a knock-on effect for bird species such as the corn bunting, which require seed for food support over the winter. And the lack of having stooks there for them to feed on has meant that the numbers have dropped considerably, and now the Outer Hebrides are one of the few places where you actually find this species. So this initiative has meant that crofters are given a payment per stook produced, and it does help to cover the costs because of the crofter's time involved and sourcing the appropriate machinery, the old binders, which are hard to come by. So it just helps to cover these costs and make it worthwhile them doing. And they are seeing now that the numbers are improving, so it is something that's worthwhile if we want to keep one of our species and it's not lost. I think the crofters and the environmental bodies, I think, do get on well on the whole. it's unfortunate. I mean, crofters are always keen to work with their environment, but through various conditions, whether it's economic or they've been maybe forced down a route which they're maybe not happy with, but just whether it's the costs of producing their feeding or whatever has meant they've had to go down a certain route. That's the way of it, and but they do want. The majority of crafters do want to look after the environment. It's something they've been working with all their lives, and it's something they do want to. So it's good that the schemes such as the ESA and the RSS scheme, which are there for crafters, are allowing them maybe to go back to some of the traditional practices, and they're getting a payment there, which does make it feasible that they continue these practices. Otherwise it just wouldn't be economic, and the current situation, people have to they have to sort of balance the two and make sure that it is worth their while and they're not losing out from doing these practices. So.